One of the most famous studies of obedience in psychology was carried out by Stanley Milgram, a psychologist at Yale University. He conducted an experiment focusing on the conflict between obedience to authority and personal conscience. In 1963, Milgram examined justifications for acts of genocide offered by those accused at the World War II Nuremberg war criminal trials. Their defense often was based on obedience, that they were just following orders from their superiors. Milgram devised the experiment to answer the question: could it be that those who committed such atrocities in the Holocaust were just following orders? Could we call them all accomplices? Milgram wanted to investigate whether Germans were particularly obedient to authority figures, as this was a common explanation for the Nazi killings in World War II. Milgram selected participants for his experiment by newspaper, advertising for male participants to take part in a study of learning at Yale University. The procedure was that the participant was paired with another person, and they drew lots to find out who would be the learner and who would be the teacher. The draw was fixed that the participant was always the teacher, and the learner was an actor hired, pretending to be a real participant. The teacher and researcher went into a room next door that contained an electric shock generator and a row of switches marked from 15 volts up to 450 volts, which is enough to kill a human being.
Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
The learner gave mainly wrong answers on purpose, and for each of these, the teacher gave him an electric shock. When the teacher refused to administer a shock, the experimenter was to give a series of orders and prods to ensure that they continue. From the results of the study, Milgram developed a theory called the agency theory. Milgram explained the behavior of his participants by suggesting that people have two states of behavior when they are in a social situation. The first is the autonomous state. People direct their own actions, and they take responsibility for the results of those actions. Then there is the agentic state. People allow others to direct their actions and then pass off the responsibility for those consequences to the person giving the orders. In other words, they act as agents for another person's will. Milgram suggested that two things must be in place for a person to enter this agentic state. Firstly, the person giving the orders is perceived as being qualified to direct other people's behavior. That is, they are seen as a legitimate source of authority. Secondly, the person being ordered is able to believe that the authority will accept responsibility for what happens. Agency theory stipulates that people will obey an authority when they believe that that authority will take responsibility for the consequences of their actions. And that's all for today's video. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, give the video a like, and if you want more types of videos like this, subscribe to the channel.